Okay, so we have some more solving equation, but this is considered a multi-step equation. Before, when we worked with multi-step equations, we had our x's on the same side as one another. This time our x's are on opposite sides of this equal sign. So, just like moving numbers away from x, I have to add or subtract to get it to the other side. I'm going to have to do the same with these. So you'll see that working throughout. The steps are the same. I separate my equation through the equal sign, and I circle all of my x's. I have too many x's. I need to get rid of one of them. Always get rid of the smaller one because it's easier to get rid of. So I'll subtract 3 x's. The only way to get it from one side of this line to the other is through addition or subtraction. So I end up with 5 x's plus 15 equal to a negative 20. Now I'm going to have to subtract away 15. Now I start over. Let me do this on a different sheet so you can see what I'm doing. So I had 8x plus 15 equaling 3x minus 20. I drew my line, I circled my x's, and found that I had too many x's and subtracted the 3x. So I'm left with 5 x's. This 15 didn't go away, so it stays. And this negative 20 didn't go away, so it's going to stay. So I start the process all over again. Circle the x's. Finally, I have 1 x. I need to get everything that's on the same side as the x away. So I subtract 15 from each side. Now remember, this was a negative 20 on this side. A minus 20 is the same as a negative 20. So this zeroes out. I have 5x equaling negative 20 minus 15. Use your calculator. Do not try to guess in your head and think that it's going to be a negative 5 or a 5. Negative 20, minus 15 ends up being negative 35. Or I could have said negative 20 plus a negative 15. Either way, you'll come up with a negative 35. So make sure that you're doing this in the calculator and you're doing it correctly. So I have a negative 35, and I'm going to divide by 5. I have 5x equaling negative 35. So 5 over 5 is 1, so I have 1x now. Negative 35 divided by 5 is a negative 7. So that would be my answer for this problem. X equals a negative 7. This was negative, this was positive. If there's one negative, it remains negative. So I'll look over here. I'll find, now notice that these are answers 1 through 9. X equals negative 7 is right here. So the O is going to go away. Go down here to number 1, and I'll put an O. Didn't have to shade it. Notice it said if the answer has a shade in the box instead of writing a letter, shade in the box instead of writing. So if I had had negative 15 and a fifth, I would have shaded this in, meaning that it was a I'm sorry, you can't see that. I would have shaded this in, showing that it was there's not a letter there, that it's a separation in words. So that one's out. All right, let's do one that's a little bit more difficult because it has seemingly a lot more work to do. We're going to look at 33 plus 15w equals 3w minus w plus 4w. All right, I'm just going to rewrite the whole thing so I can work on it on my little piece of paper. Now I'm going to go through and circle all the w's. There's a w, there's a w, there's a negative w, and there's a positive w. So I'm going to make sure I only end up with one w, where I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 right now. Still draw my line. I can't do anything with this 15w yet, but I can add all these together. 3w's minus a w is 2w's, plus 4w's is 6w's. So 33 plus 15w's equals 6w's. Circle. I have too many. I'm going to get rid of this one. Normally I would get rid of the small one, but since I have one by itself over here, I'll get rid of this one. So minus 15 W's, minus 15 W's. So I have 33 equaling, this zeroes out, 6 W's minus 15 W's is a negative 9 W's. So now I need to get rid of this negative 9 that's with the W. So I'm going to divide it away. Remember, when you're trying to find the value of a letter, you want to get rid of the entire coefficient, not just the 9. I need to get rid of the negative as well. So, if I look at how many 9s will go into 33, it'll go 3 times, which is a 27. And that'll leave me 3/9. No, it'll leave me 6/9 left over. 33 minus 27. I'm sorry, 33 minus. So here's how we do it. 9 will go into 33. 3 and 6 repeating. Well, 6 repeating is just a 2/3. So it's going to be 3 and 2/3. So 9 goes into that 3 times, and there's a 6 left over. So 6/9 reduces to 2/3. And it was a negative 9, so this answer is going to be negative. So all of this stuff boils down to W equals negative 3 and 2/3, which is right here, right next to it. So down here I'll find 8. There's an 8, and I'll put a P there. 3 and 2/3 was P. So that was number 8. Number 8 gets a P. Alright, so that should be fine up there. Now let's look at what happens when we have multiple distributions on each side of the equation. It just makes it that much harder. So we'll start with an easy one, and this time I'm not going to bother rewriting it. I'm just going to do it right here on this piece of paper. I'm going to separate the two sides. I'll distribute my 9. Distribute 9 to an m, and I get 9m. 9 to a minus 2, and I get minus 18. That's going to equal m plus 40. Now I can start circling my m's. I have too many. I need to get rid of one. This time I'll get rid of the small one. So 9m's minus an m leaves us 8m's, and this 18 is going to carry down, minus 18. This becomes a 0 pair, so it equals 40. Start over, circle, add 18. So 8m's equals 58. I know that, so now I divide by 8 to get rid of the coefficient of m and turn it into a 1. Divide this side by 8. 8 will go into 58 7 times, with 2 8s left over, or 7 and 1/4. So let's look over here. There's our 7 and 1/4. Where is it? There's our 7 and 1/4. So I'll look down here at number 10, and I'll put a W for 7 and 1/4. Let's try a harder one. Here I have a double distribution going on. Again, I'm just going to do it on either side of this line. I'm not going to rewrite the equation. Start out by taking care of our distribution. 12 times 5 is 60. 12 times 2y is plus 24y. I don't have to do anything with this 4y, so I'm just going to bring it down. Now, this minus on the outside means I have to subtract a 6 and a minus 9y. So one thing you can do is, if there's not a number there, just like if this were an x, I would put a number. I have 1. I'd put a number 1 in front of it. So I have a negative 1 to distribute. So negative 1 times 6 is a minus 6. Negative 1 times a minus 9y. Negative times a negative is a positive 9y. So this minus on the outside means I have to minus the 6 and I have to minus the negative 9. Negative minus a negative is a positive. Circle. Man, I've got a lot of y's this time, so I'm not going to do anything with this side. I need to take care of these two first. 60 plus 24y is going to equal 4y's plus 9y's is 13y's minus 6. Circle. I still have too many y's, so let's get rid of this one because it's smaller. Minus 13y's minus 13y's. 60 plus 11y's equals a negative 6. Remember, this 6 was a negative, so it's going to carry down as a negative. It's very important. Circle. Man, we're doing a lot of circling on this one, aren't we? And I'm going to subtract 60, get that out of there. Negative 6 minus 60 is a negative 66. So 11y's equals negative 66. In order to get rid of the 11, I have to divide 11. That turns this into a 1. Divide it by 11, that means y equals negative 66 divided by 11 is negative 6. Man, that was a lot of work for that little bit of that little bitty problem. But it all works out. So number 15 should be negative 6. There's my negative 6. I'm going to go on to number 15 and put a u there. Make sure there's no other 15s. There's another one. Any other 15s? No. You might want to check through and make sure if there's any other 7s. I'll put a W. And if there's any other ones, I'll put a 0. Or if there's any 8s, I'll put a P. Nope, we're good. Oh, there was another W over here. So that's pretty much it. Make sure that you're doing each step. I did not put the answer to this one up here. Make sure you're doing it step by step. If you need to, go back and watch this video again.